Today's the first day in this like block of training that like I have truly felt that it is the dog days of summer. And what do I mean by that? I mean, we've all stopped feeling invincible.
So what we're gonna do today is do a functional assessment on you guys, just to see what's going on with your body.
Proactive physical therapy. Jenna and I know an excellent physical therapist. Her name is Marty Mattox. We went to go see her and her staff for a functional assessment.
This is Ellen.
I feel like I'm literally in a practical right now. I'm getting like anxious.
Yeah, if you mess up, I'll have it on camera.
Videos are basically just all bloopers anyways.
And this is Jordan and Chris. You can test all the muscles in your body, but we figured to do some muscle testing on things that are sport specific for triathlon. Start. Ellen is gonna do her thing.
Should we clap?
Right, just like that. Hold it. Don't let me. Look at that.
Pop his arm off.
All right, one more time. All right, good. Other side. Another one. There you go. You're a cheap date. A little bit weaker on his right side compared to his left, though. What we want to see with healthy athletes are literally 5s or 4 pluses. Don't let me push you down.
And you'll probably
You're setting the bar high.
It would be funny to edit this Miguel, Jenna, and have a little scoreboard.
She had a 3+ for her lower trap, because as soon as I touched it, you went right down with it. And then just a little bit as well with the left one, but you were a bit stronger.
That left side carrying the team.
Slight bend in the knee. Don't let me push you down. Yeah.
I got a 5.
Hold it there. Don't let me pull you down. Any resistance?
This hurts.
Why, because you're sore?
Resistance. Don't let me pull it down. It's a little bit weaker on that right side.
Did you hear that? She said you're weak.
Good. Switch sides. Good. Strong. Resist me. Strong.
Yeah, but your butt grows internally, not externally. Not a show butt.
Okay, so now look at 90.
Should have shaved my legs.
95.
Oh man.
Better. Very rarely do I give people 5s. You'll only really see 5s in the clinic for dorsiflexion, because like nothing can stop you from doing that. Good dorsiflexion.
That's nice.
Yeah. Full range of motion. Abs.
No one's ever said that to me.
Actually, wait, no, I lied. I'm sorry. That's what it should look like.
Miguel has no dorsiflexion.
Good. Normal limits. Other side. Perfect. Not that bad, but when I end it, feel a little tension. But he's pretty much on the table. Ready to big pop up. So yeah, he's pretty good with us too. Within normal limits.
You're normal.
It's a tie. They're both a little weak in their lower trap.
It was a tie. They're both pretty weak.
They're weak in their own way. So.
We'll go through a few frames. So we're gonna start by looking at the foot ankle. So we're gonna see as you're landing, right? You land on the outside of your foot, and then you can see how you'll have the force kind of absorb in, right? So that's pronation. We want to see that you have it, that you accept load, and then before mid stance, you stop pronating, and then as you're getting towards the end of stance, you start to supinate again. So it looks like you land a bit more supinated on the right versus the left. So that's like we're just kind of being nitpicky, but we don't want to see you pronate through your whole stance. You can see you actually look great. So you come down, this is about your mid stance here, where you're staying in that same position, and you roll out to the outside of your foot. That's what we expect to see. That looks great. Yeah, that's normal. Then from there, you can kind of see how your foot kind of turns this way.
Yeah.
So what we're looking at is just how your body is attenuating force as you land, right? So if we're seeing rotational force through your foot, that means that instead of like your hip muscles or core muscles kind of picking that up, some of that's kind of whipping through your leg. So it can create more stress through the leg, but for you, I wouldn't say that's like a really like huge factor.
But ideally, you want to see like my foot just go straight back.
Exactly, yeah. So what we can look at from this angle a little bit is like knee valgus. When you're landing, do we see your knee bow in towards your midline of your body?
I'm glad you have me on a bite in this round.
How epic is that? Not even planned, but that really worked out well. You know, if we have hip weakness, there's a few compensations you can see. You can see the knee cave in, you can see the hip drop, or you can see the arm come out to the side and chicken wing.
She does
I
that.
think I do like all three of those things. Chicken wing
You
too.
shouldn't be saying this because now she's gonna like try and not do it. Yeah.
So from this angle, again, we're looking pretty good. Maybe a little bit more knee valgus on the right.
Yep.
On the left side, we saw a little bit less pronation. Those are kind of the two things we've seen so far. So when I have like newer runners, everyone always wants to know what kind of like striker they have, like heel striker,
Yeah, I know.
striker, green border on. Like, what is it? What am I? That looks like a midfoot.
midfoot,
Yeah.
which
See,
is
you
good.
hover above that heel, and then bam, that midfoot comes
So
down.
you were pretty loud.
There's kind of two schools of thought on that too, right? Because like running, you want to impact force in the ground. That's
Yes.
how you.
Yeah.
That's how you load your Achilles up so you can push off. So like, creating force to the ground is good. It's just, you know, if you were having an injury issue, running soft can be a great way to like
Better.
decrease how much
Yeah.
force you get. But if you're running pain free, then it's good to
If you're
load up.
running-
What is your knee angle when you land? So ideally, we're landing pretty close to under our
Pretty
center
good.
mass. Yeah, that looks really good. You need it to be out in front of you a little bit, because if it's not out in front of you, then you can't load your Achilles. There's like
Right.
no way to get force. If it's right underneath you, you're kind of standing still.
Yep.
So this is great. This is right. This is in front of your body, but not like
Not overstriding.
yeah, we want at least 15 degrees of knee bend through that knee that lands, and you definitely have that. So that means instead of having the force go up through your joints, you're using your muscles. And then the next thing we'll look at from this angle too will be kind of your hip extension on that side. So what's creating this extension? You get it from your hip, you get it from your low back. But usually when we see someone who's getting it from their low back, you start to see an angle where they're kind of
Arching.
like arching. Exactly. We don't really see you arching. Like you have a pretty good angle here through the hip. You're getting the toe off the ground pretty early as opposed to keeping it down as long as you can. The longer you keep that foot down, the more actual pressure you get through the glute, the more force you can drive yourself through. Overall, looks really good. And the last thing from this view we can look at is like, are you vaulting? So you can put this line of, this is your lowest point, and then where's your highest point? I always heard 5 to 7 centimeters is kind of like the norm for how high you should get off the ground. Like that's kind of, you don't want to go much above that. People who vault usually have like really defined calves, and vaulting again is when like you're pushing up and you're going way off the ground. And I'm not saying your calves aren't defined, but you don't have like the monster calves we typically see as somebody's like using their calves to press their run forward. Get after it, let's do this. And give us a thumbs up when you're at pace. I was watching without the video, I feel like the left foot toes in more when you land versus the right. Do your knees ever hit together when you're running?
Occasionally.
Yeah, it's
She
good.
doesn't do a major crossover, but I felt like every couple steps there was just a little bit going.
So crossover is when more than 25% of your heel crosses over your midline.
We're like being
Come
super,
with you.
super specific right now.
So it's like, this is your midline, right? So this is looking up kind of with your back here, going straight up your back. You see, that's something more than 25% of your heel. What we're seeing on the right side is a little bit different. You look at that arm, you talked about chicken winging a little bit. Yeah, so it's really evident even watching you just like run without like, having it stopped, right?
You can see her right
Yeah.
valgus.
Yeah, you can see it. Here's the knee, and then she kind of dive in there. See that kind of comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you land. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
With running, right, the key is like having strength is one thing, but then you need to be able to put it into the running pattern. So like getting stronger is great, but then you need to do running drills that kind of help you practice using that strength. So like a glute push-off drill where you're landing and you're thinking about squeezing your glute on that side to help you like drive forward. It's a good way to like, activate your glute when you're running, so you're not going to see these kind of like the drop, the knee valgus, and the arm out to the side. The hokas are hard because they're soft. So I'm gonna say, wait, what is actually, is anything around? Yeah, I don't really know. It looks like you're more of a midfoot too. This is where it looks like you can see your muscles starting to kind of like work from hitting the ground. Your foot's, you know, out like maybe the size bit further ahead of you than Miguel's was, but it's still like in a great position. We're just looking for that knee bend. The one thing I noticed from the side for you that I was thinking about just how much your low back was kind of arched. Like it's pretty evident.
When she extends, let's watch
Yeah.
her extension.
Yeah, so
You
watch-
extend with your back.
Yeah, and you get some from the hip, and then a lot that comes from that low back. Sometimes it's just like we get comfortable using those muscles. Like you can use your lumbar extensors to create a little bit more hip extension. And like even though they're extending your low back, you still get a little bit of added extension, but it's not with our glutes, which are actually helping us drive the run. So it's not as efficient of a pattern. Your hips, I think where it's kind of tough too, is like your hips kind of sit. I don't know, they never we have the right tool ready. So you just kind of sit at this angle where they're just like a little bit dumped forward. Right, kind of throughout. So kind of flaring the ribs too, right? You can almost think you're kind of like leading with your ribs, opposed to that kind of keeping those down, keeping them more engaged. There's another nice way to think about it. It's hard to think about like pushing a little back out, right? But it's a little bit easier to think about, okay, bring my ribs down a little bit so that easier to, I think it's a cue to think about.
I think that I'm thinking about my glute while I run, but I'm not actually thinking about it.
Yeah.
And that's
like I know that I'm not activating it.
Even like the glute push-up drill, we always talk about like, pick like a light post and only think about one side until you get to that light post. Think about each time you hit that leg, you activate that glute, and then once you get to the light post, forget about it. And just like live your life and enjoy running. And just like keep practicing.
Okay.
So
you're gonna jump to the box.
What am I jumping at?
Jump to here. From the middle of the box, you're gonna jump up and land with both legs.
I'm landing on the ground.
On the ground.
Jumping as high as I can.
Up and then down.
Is this for height or distance?
This is just nothing.
You
This is just
interpret it.
landing.
What does your heart say?
What I tell people when I test is just do whatever you want to do. This is
Part of the
basically
test.
what we're... You're going to do the same thing, except you're going to land on one leg.
Whoa.
Obviously, you lose the balance inside every time, so you instantly shift and fall.
See the inside?
It just felt really weak
On the
that
inside.
one.
Right, especially on the left, I thought, yikes, why am I making that?
We almost all walked away.
You
Weird.
saw enough. Jump with both legs and land on your right leg. So this is the spot.
I don't know where I started from. Toe or heel?
Doesn't matter.
Science.
Your weight would shift around a lot on your foot, which is totally normal. Like these are pretty high level activities. When we're looking at landings, right, we want you to attack the ground, and your weight should be pretty set. Like you had a lot of wobble back and forth, but working on like the foot intrinsic muscles and like the strength around your ankle is just a nice thing for runners always to keep really strong feet for when you land and keep a lot of control.
You don't have to be Miguel.
But in a realer sense,
Our household.
Right there.
Yeah.
And just looking at the tuck jump, she had a lot more stability doing that.
a little bit if those knees come in is natural, but then what we look for is like this little excessive, so it gets more on one side.
Yeah.
And so with your landing, especially the right side, it looked like your right side was caving in a little bit more initially.
So all together, you guys look awesome, but no, not at all. If you want to get to like, yeah, there's a few things that we can work on. Yeah. All right.
Cut.
Try.
Nice.
Okay, but who did better?
The best.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. It's a way to show that off.